There's commitment to principle because you actually believe it, and then there's commitment to principle just because you're forced to, and those are two very different things. Do you actually believe in the value, or do you just abide by it because someone's making you? The way to test that difference is just to remove the force. How do you behave when nobody's making you do the right thing? And it's just up to you alone to do it. What do you do when you can get away with it? Or when nobody's looking? Or in this case, when you're in a position of power over somebody and there probably won't be much accountability for your bad action. That is the substance of a story out of Yakima, Washington, where the mayor tried to deploy police to silence her political opposition, and not even direct opposition like somebody running to challenge her seat, just people she disagrees with exercising their rights to collect signatures on broad statewide issues. Worse still, the general police department line would not suffice to shut them up. She called 911 to deal with conservative sidewalk activism in her town. Over the Labor Day weekend, activists from the group Let's Go Washington were gathering signatures outside the Yakima Walmart to bring 6 proposals to statewide ballot, removing restrictions on police pursuit, stopping carbon taxes, opting out of state-run long-term care coverage, repealing the state capital gains tax, prohibiting state income tax, and establishing a parental right to review school records. For the mayor, Democrat Janice DiCio, who took office last year, this was not just a matter of political disagreement. This was a matter for police intervention. So she says after a constituent called her to complain about this group, she then called 911. She now says it wasn't to seek the removal of these petitioners. It was just to seek information from police about why they weren't being removed. But that explanation, of course, undermines the entire reason to call 911 in the first place. Because just in case you think, well, maybe there was some sort of fight, or maybe there was some sort of health episode, or maybe there was some sort of actual emergency related to the political activism at Walmart, and that's why the mayor called 911. No, she opened her 911 call by saying, "I know this isn't an emergency, but..."
Hi, this is Mayor DiCio. I know that this isn't an emergency call, but I need to talk to somebody. I've emailed the chief, but there's some far right-wing petitioners at Walmart, and they're not leaving after Walmart has asked them repeatedly to do so.
After this call audio was publicly released, the mayor claimed her information request was only conducted through 911 because she couldn't reach anybody through any of the non-emergency lines due to the holiday weekend. Well, Miss Mayor, if only there was better management of the city to make sure such important resources were available. If only there was somebody whose job it is to make sure city functions are running smoothly. I know the other lines were unresponsive, but did you try calling you before 911? After the call's publication, the mayor attempted to explain it by saying it was actually about harassment. No, this didn't have anything to do with politics at all. It was about the fact that these petitioners were harassing people. That's why they needed police intervention.
Numerous credible local people have told me since then that the petitioners' behavior was aggressive, they felt harassed, and even threatened by them.
But at no point in her 2 separate conversations with 2 different 911 dispatchers, the original responder and her supervisor, did the mayor ever reference harassment or threats or aggressive behavior of any kind. Instead, she focused exclusively on being a hero for Walmart, saying that Walmart wanted these people off their property.
I have had some constituents call me to tell me about some right-wing petitioners over at Walmart, and that Walmart does not want them on their property, and the police have come out and told them that they can't do anything about it. That's insane. So Walmart has no rights.
Now, of course, I am sympathetic to property rights. I don't think you have a right to political activism on someone else's property, but there are still problems with the mayor's case here. First, she never claimed to have any direct communication with Walmart about this dispute. She only learned of this dispute through the telephone game with others. So her claim to represent Walmart's interests seems more like political convenience than fidelity to the law. But second, that's the problem. It's not fidelity to the law. The state of Washington actually disagrees with what I just said and what she said about the balance of property rights and speech rights. In certain cases, there is actually a legal right in Washington to politically petition on private property. Although the legal interpretation and application is pretty murky and confusing, the Washington Supreme Court has held that gathering signatures outside shopping malls is protected speech under the state constitution. The Washington Supreme Court has also held that gathering signatures outside warehouse-style grocery stores is not protected and can be disallowed because those warehouse stores don't have a town square-style plaza or common area. So what is Walmart then? Well, the court uses 3 factors to assess: the nature and the use of the property, the impact of banning the signature gathering upon the effectiveness of the initiative or the referendum, and the scope of the invitation that the owner of the property has extended. That sounds like a mess of contradictory nonsense because it is, but the simple explanation in this case is that Yakima police assessed that legal standard that petitioners might have a legal right to gather signatures at this Walmart, and if they might have that right, well, then that's a matter best judged by the courts, not police. And so police require a court order to remove them.
It says that for this reason, the city of Yakima will not remove petition signature gatherers absent a court order issued by Yakima Superior Court prohibiting the group from collecting signatures.
And so the mayor was incensed. Well, how could this be? You mean to tell me that if these people were petitioning on my yard, I couldn't have them removed?
And I'm wondering, how can that be? If petitioners were on my yard, the police could take them out.
Yeah, it has to do with the right of access on private property for political purposes.
Even if they were on my yard?
First of all, it's not your yard. It's Walmart's yard. So Walmart can call police if they wish, not you on their behalf as some sneaky way to try to get your political opposition. But second, a yard is not a valid legal comparison anyway. The courts in Washington say that big retail parking lots are something different from a private home lawn, something closer to a public square than a private place. I know these are legal technicalities, but the job of mayor seems like one that should understand and appreciate legal technicalities. So the mayor is saying she was just looking for information, not seeking police deployment, which makes no sense because that's all 911 dispatchers do. They deploy emergency services. They don't explain or debate legal nuance. The mayor says she was just seeking a resolution to harassment, which makes no sense because she never mentioned harassment in that 911 call. She says it's all about property rights, which makes no sense because she actually has no understanding of property rights law in her state. All of these claims are so flimsy, they appear to be cover for the obvious motivation. She just doesn't like her political opposition, and she wants them punished. But the mayor says no. In a statement explaining her actions, she says, "I don't care, nor do I even know what they were petitioning about. Their political viewpoint has nothing to do with me calling 911. So she must have had a change of heart, apparently, because she sure cared a lot about their political viewpoint when she made the call. In fact, far right and right wing are the first words she used to describe these petitioners in both of her dispatch conversations.
There's some far right-wing petitioners at Walmart, some right-wing petitioners over at Walmart.
If she doesn't care about their perspective, then why is their perspective the first thing that she cited to explain the reason for her call twice? And why is it the first thing she cites in trying to explain her way out of it? At a city council meeting this week, the mayor again said she was just responding to citizen concern about an extreme right-wing group.
I was called early on Sunday morning by a constituent who informed me that, in his words, an extreme right-wing group was petitioning at Walmart and creating problems for shoppers.
So she's not crazy. You're crazy. Despite what you just heard on that call, her pleading for police intervention, actually, it was nothing like that at all.
I never asked the police to go to Walmart or demanded that they do anything. No one told the group that they couldn't petition. and it was certainly not my intention to stop them. I have a degree in journalism, and I'm the last person who would infringe on anyone's freedom of speech.
Well, with this total detachment from the facts, I actually do believe that she holds a degree in journalism. That is absolutely credible. As far as not asking the police for removal of the petitioners, though, that was the entire purpose for the call.
And the police have come out and told them that they can't do anything about it. And I'm wondering, how can that be?
With all of her excuses and explanations evaporated, instead of doing the right thing and just apologizing and taking responsibility for her own egregious attack on her citizens, the mayor pulled the last and most desperate excuse. She became the victim. She says, "Please pray for me. I'm being harassed."
Since this call, 911 call, was made public without my personal phone number being redacted, I've had hundreds of phone calls, texts, and voicemails from across the country. Some of them are quite juvenile and include sexual harassment. I got one this morning that I'd like to play for you.
Yes. I was just wondering how a beautiful face could be such a liberal that would like to stop democracy.
Well, in fairness, that was also a compliment, albeit undeserved. When he said beautiful face, I'll assume he's referring to her official mayoral portrait, which looks like it was taken about 20 years and 20 pounds ago, or maybe just 20 Photoshop hours. Regardless, even if you remove the compliment and focus on the mean parts, some mean voicemails are deserved for this lady's actions. She should be shamed for trying to violate her citizens' rights. She should be shamed for making up a bunch of silly excuses for doing that. She should be shamed for not doing the right thing and taking accountability and apologizing and pledging never to do it again. She should think twice before threatening her citizens this way. And if she doesn't, that needs correction. And mean words are a perfectly humane way to do that. Because even if I grant that she is being harassed, which I don't, public scrutiny is part of the job description of public official, well, then it's just eye for an eye justice. Her anti-harassment stance might be a lot more credible if she wasn't soliciting the harassment of others in the first place. There is little harassment worse than the harassment she tried to push against her citizens, the harassment of state force. Do what I say or I'll call you a C word is actually much less threatening than do what I say or I'll put you in jail. One is just mean. The other threatens every freedom that you have. So more of this, actually. If we all did our civic duty of calling a politician a C word every day, we'd have a better country for it. It's much better to mock and diminish these people than to worship them as heroic solutions to all of our problems, because they aren't. They're much closer to the opposite, actually. Villainous causes to our problems. Once the burden is on them to prove that they actually are honorable, to prove that they actually do respect our rights, to remember that their legitimacy is only at our consent. It is not automatic. And the burden is no longer on us to politely submit at the whim of their command. Well, we'll be much closer to a proper country. So please do your part. Call your representatives and leave a mean voicemail today. Thanks as always for listening and for supporting this channel. Always appreciate that thoughtful discussion down below, and especially over on Minds. That is at ML Christiansen. You're always welcome to coming out and chat in my live streams. Those are linked down in the description. Looking forward to it. Goodbye.